So, let's talk about something I think we all struggle with, right? That constant nagging battle between our biggest ambitions and, well, our laziness. We're going to dive into a simple story that really gets to the heart of that whole complex thing.
Let me just ask you this straight up. Do you ever have these huge dreams for your life, these big plans, but then when it's actually time to do the work, you find yourself thinking, I'll just start tomorrow? Yeah? If that sounds even a little bit familiar, you're definitely going to want to hear this.
Because this is the story of a young guy named Amir. And his journey, the choice he has to make between two totally different paths, honestly, it might just change the way you see your own.
Okay, so let's get into part one. We're calling it A Man of Dreams, because that's exactly who Amir was. But, as you'll see, it was also his biggest problem. So, meet Amir. He's 25 years old, and his head is just constantly buzzing with these grand visions of the future. He'd tell anybody who'd listen, you just wait, one day I'm going to be the richest farmer in this whole village. He could see it so clearly. The fields of golden crops, the respect from everyone around him, that amazing feeling of success.
But, and this is a big but, there was a catch. While everyone kind of admired his big talk, Amir had an even bigger problem. He was strong, he was healthy, but he was just so lazy. He loved the idea of being successful, but he absolutely hated the actual hard work that goes into it. So while all the other farmers were out in their fields, you know where Amir was? On his couch, just dreaming.
Now that whole cycle of dreaming and putting things off, it couldn't last forever. A big turning point was on its way, and it showed up in the form of two little seeds, offered by his wise uncle.
So one evening, Amir's wise old uncle drops by for a visit. He takes one look at Amir's beautiful, fertile land, which was totally empty and unworked, by the way, and he saw the problem right away. He'd heard all those empty promises of, I'll do it tomorrow, way too many times. It was time for a real lesson.
So the uncle hands Amir two magic seeds and lays out a choice. The first one? That's the ambition seed. He says, this one needs daily care. You got to work on it, but it'll grow into unbelievable wealth. The second one was the laziness seed. And this one? It needed zero work. None. It would just grow all by itself. The catch, though, was that it would spread like a weed and completely destroy everything else in its path.
And then the uncle looked him right in the eye and delivered this powerful warning. The future of your field and your life, it all depends on which one of these you choose to care for. The ball was officially in Amir's court.
So what do you think happened? What did Amir do? Well, unfortunately, his choice, or, his lack of a choice, led him to a place we're calling a field of regret. This is where the real cost of doing nothing becomes terrifyingly real.
And, true to his old habits, Amir just delayed. He told himself, oh yeah, for sure, I'll plant the ambition seed. But then morning came and he was tired and his bed was just so warm and comfortable, so he put it off. And just like that, days just melted into weeks.
Finally, one day, just because he was bored, he kind of casually tossed both seeds onto the ground. And he told himself that classic, all-too-familiar lie, I can always take care of them later.
So he went right back to his old routine, sleeping, dreaming, totally forgetting about those two seeds he threw in the dirt. A few weeks later, he finally wandered back out to his field. And what he saw, it absolutely shocked him.
This was the cost of his neglect. The laziness seed hadn't just grown, it had exploded. These awful, thorny weeds were everywhere, just choking the life out of the soil. And the ambition seed? Oh, it was just this tiny, pathetic little sprout, barely hanging on, struggling to survive. His beautiful dream had literally turned into a nightmare of weeds.
Seeing that disaster finally snapped Amir out of it. He got it. He understood that dreams are not enough. Only action, real action, can actually keep them alive. And that single realization kicked off the hardest chapter of his life, the hardest work.
That very night, Amir decided he was going to change. His road back was simple, but man, was it tough. First, he had to pull every single one of those weeds. It was brutal, painful work. His hands were bleeding, but he just refused to stop. Then, every single day, he had to water that tiny, fragile little seed. But the most important step? The repetition. Every morning he had to fight his old self, fight that lazy voice in his head, and choose to do the work. And slowly but surely, all that consistent effort started to pay off. He watched that tiny seed grow and grow until it became this magnificent tree that gave him the fruit, the shade, and the wealth he'd only ever dreamed about before.
Over the years, Amir's entire life was transformed. He wasn't that lazy dreamer anymore. He actually became known throughout the entire village as the farmer who won, and not just because his harvest was great, but because everyone knew he had fought a battle against himself, and he won.
Now, Amir's story is really powerful, right? But what does it actually mean for us here and now? That's what we're going to get into in this last part. Because the truth is, we all have these exact same two seeds inside of us.
See, this story isn't really about farming. It's a metaphor for life, and the lessons are crystal clear. Your ambition, it's a seed. It needs daily effort, it needs discipline and action if you want it to grow. But laziness, that thing grows all by itself, and it will absolutely destroy your dreams. The longer you wait, the weaker your dream gets. The message is just so simple. Start today. Don't wait for tomorrow.
So this whole story really just leaves us with one essential question. We all have both of these seeds inside of us, right at this very moment. The only thing that really matters is this. Which one are you going to water today?